Previously on Dances with Dice. When last we left our heroes, Eisen, the half-elf cleric, Karma, the tiefling wizard, and Emiria, the elven monk. The battle is over. The aftermath survived. And now begins the slow but long process of rebuilding. Our heroes take time to themselves, time to the city. But ever more around the corner, darkness awaits. What will our heroes find this week on Dances with Dice?
All right. So, Emiria, you have that horrible moment of realization of, at some point, somewhere, Mikhail came to your monastery. And I'll say with that ends at least that day. As we move into the next 6 months or so, as the city itself rebuilds, Emiria, we will start with you. Barry is going to try to teach you how to tear someone in half.
Yay!
The summer is like the summer is starting to turn into fall, so like it's very nice and warm out, but you know the leaves are starting to turn color, so you've got a lovely little bit of weather going on. You're out in the backyard. Barry's set up some like punching dummies, things for like traditionally like for target practice, and Barry's out there, Cat is out there, and Draft is out there. Both Cat and Draft are like kind of sitting on like lawn chairs with, you know, like big glass of lemonade, just kind of watching the two of you. Very much enjoying the eye candy. Barry comes up to you. It's like, all right, so important thing about tearing anything in half. It's not about how strong you are, about leverage. So, and he like goes up to like the largest like sort of bale of hay that's about him sized. It's like, well, this thing's about big me, and I can still do whatever I want to it because I know the points of leverage on body. And he points to like under the arm, like kind of like the joints of the legs, and then most importantly, like in what he shows you is he like there's a bend in the hip that he then like twists, pulls, and then rips at the same time, and you watch as this like, and you watched as he constructed them, this like probably good like 150, 200 pound like target of hay just comes apart like a piece of paper in his hands.
Oh God.
So, let's get started. I would like you to roll me a... This would be interpretation, so wisdom. I would like you to just roll me a straight wisdom check.
Okay.
You don't need anatomy understand. You don't necessarily need to know every bit of human anatomy to be able to take advantage of it. So this will be wisdom. This is understanding more than anything else.
Well, that's an 11.
An 11. You think you've got the basics down. So you walk up to one of the smaller dummies, and it's like, okay, roll me a dexterity check.
That I can fucking do. 16.
16. You can't really get something big, but you're able to like figure out like you get like the hand down. So like you get like small amount of limb work, like you get like fingers and hands and things like that down, and Barry is like walking you through things and all that sort of stuff. And I would say after about a day or so of this, after like 3-4 hours of doing this, you've got the basics down, and you can kind of build off of knowledge in future fights. And Barry's kind of taught you everything he knows, and like he's like turns to like the rest of it. It's really just it's gonna sound awful, but the rest of it's just practice. So, good luck.
I appreciate this, Barry.
Mm-hmm. Always happy to help. And he walks over to the two ladies sitting at their chairs and like kind of tips his head towards Draft, and then picks up Kat, puts her on his shoulder, and then walks back inside. And then Draft is sitting there. She tries her. Actually, let me roll for this. Actually,
Sound. Sorry, my bad.
let me roll. We're gonna roll for this because I love my little wizard girl. Oh, you're okay at this. Hey, oh, look at that. The nat 20 when you needed it. She does like the perfect rendition of like the girl next door sort of seductively sipping the straw thing with her big glass of lemonade as you kind of walk over after your day of training and such.
I'm the pool boy.
Mm-hmm, very much so.
Have we established what Draft looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
It was like a year ago when we did it, but yes, no, we did. And she looks up at you. It's like, that was very interesting to watch. And like she like her eyes just kind of like run over you. It's like, you're very strong.
I don't think I can pick you up and put you on my shoulder like that, but I can work on it.
Let's just start with whatever we can do in the privacy of our room. And she kind of like she kind of like just like sort of like skips away a little bit towards her tower, beckoning you to follow.
Why, yes. Yes, I do.
All right, and you guys spend the rest of a very enjoyable afternoon. Amiria, roll
Reading the Bible.
Reading the Bible. Amiria, roll a strength check so you can lift the very heavy Bible.
Oh, you know it's a nat 20.
You're very good at lifting a very heavy draft-shaped Bible up against a wall.
How dare you say that to Draft? Well, you know what? Draft, you know what this means? It's canon that Draft is fucking thick. Draft there is much to love about Draft, if you catch my drift.
No, she is like,
yeah.
we've established she's very thick. She got big old titties and a badonkadonk. That's been established.
She's got thighs that could crush a man if she wanted
And I
to.
love that.
No. She thicker than a Snickers. She got the 3 C's.
That's what this means. That.
But yes, you spend an enjoyable rest of the afternoon. Karma, Eisen. Eisen, we have an idea of what you wanted to do during some of your time off.
Wait, does that mean that they just spent however many months just fucking?
I mean, I'm sure that's sprinkled in here or there, but no, that's probably not the only thing that they did.
Not like constantly.
Yeah. Not like 24. It's like we're not talking like 24/7, but maybe like once or twice a week at least. Eisen and Karma. Karma, is there anything specific you wanted to do during your time?
Oh, I
off?
see how it is. So now we're just two people. We're not even our own. We're just one singular being. We don't even have our own desires.
I know what Eisen wants to do. You haven't given me anything.
I'm thinking actually.
All
So
right.
Eisen, you go.
Eisen, you are able to help around the city. You specifically help with a lot of the reconstruction of like the guard ward where the where those training grounds were and things like that. You a lot of help with just general reconstruction and things like that. You kind of wrangle your little posse of children into sort of like a pseudo little construction crew as well. They don't do really any heavy lifting, but when it comes to like, clearing out smaller bits of rubble, collecting valuables that were kind of like, still intact, but buried underneath, these collapsed houses and things like that, getting those returned to people. So you kind of build a little like a little, I want to say like a street gang, but it's like you've got like a little group of people running around like helping out around the city, and everyone recognizes them as like being associated with you and things like that. You're able to get a lot of like what at least your goal was done, kind of like making yourself visible and things like that, and you're definitely forming more of a relationship with these kids. Yes, Karma.
I just wanted to say that if that's what Eisen's doing, he might have seen Karma, because Karma's using her telekinetic and her other sorts of abilities to help with rebuilding. So you might have seen Karma. That was one of the things I did have on my list.
Okay.
That she was helping with rebuilding.
just because I want to see somebody draw this, Eisen obviously isn't doing all this work in his armor, and I also just want to see Karma's reaction. But like at some point, like he's like sitting there, like probably work at like lifting lumber and shit like that, and he's very sweaty and glistening and not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, if Eisen's working out, if Eisen's doing construction in full armor, I'm gonna just like you're a fucking psychopath.
Exactly. So I'm just mentioning that these are things that are happening.
Karma's a simple woman. She's already doing her best to be a nun right now.
And Eisen wears armor all the goddamn time, so I'm assuming.
You're pale as fuck.
No,
That was where Zach went with that. That was the lead-in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, you are pale. And Alex is just like, that's not what I was. Okay.
It's not. I mean, it's probably also true. Like,
Yes, but
You literally never take that shit off.
it's true.
Or he's just got the most incredible farmer's tan.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Alex?
Oh no, it's like I've never mind.
No.
No.
Say it, coward.
Finish it.
Well, Eisen's like, I mean, like he wears like a lot of armor all the time. I'm sure we've also mentioned this before that Eisen does actually have like, he's pretty good shape.
No.
Yeah.
You're very good looking, but it's like
Rippling pectorals.
there's a moment. I think there's like a moment where like.
But Eisen, it's not something that Eisen's always been more focused on, like, that's always been, like, a byproduct in his mind. Like, he's not, like, I honestly don't think it's one of those things that he even realizes.
Well, again, when you're wearing armor 24/7
I'm
like
just-
a psychopath.
But, like, it's not something that he's like, oh, I'm doing this on purpose. I think he almost doesn't even realize that that's a thing,
Yeah.
which I find funny.
for the first time in your life, your like skin sees the sun. For the first time since you've been on the ship and you like covered yourself in armor from head to toe, it's like your skin is just like vitamin D. But yeah, so Karma, like the two of you, I think probably like
Are doing a
work
bit
on
of this together.
work on the same sort of like construction crew in the same sections, and then Karma, there's certainly one day where Eisen's like out there, like he has like a bunch of like he has like 10 children like running around him asking for instructions, and then eventually like you like are like moving like probably like a good like 1 ton piece of stone with your mind. You look over and you see like Eisen just like drenched in sweat with like a pile of lumber on his shoulder, and like the stone falls like about 3 feet before you catch it again, and you move it back into place. And
Karma's just like chastity.
Karma's like, I've never had sex,
I
sex.
don't
never
even know
had
what
sex.
sex
Who
is.
the-
I've
who
never
the
even
fuck-
seen a penis before.
and then
I've never seen a vagina.
Who the
I've never
fuck
even
is Frederico?
seen my own.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Frederico is.
Frederico
Imelda, I've never seen a naked woman or a naked man. I've never seen myself naked.
Frederico rolls up with like a hot dog cart. It's like, hello everybody, get your food.
She's like, I will beat you to death.
But yeah, so you're able to kind of like both of you are able to complete that goal in terms of like, and with everyone's help and some of like the magical assistance. So like Arcalarius sticks around, and Red Earth doesn't stick around for too long, but he helps like clear out. He basically is on
The
body.
large rubble.
He's basically on body duty. He just kind of burns all of the dead bodies for everyone to just kind of get rid of that large issue. and then he goes back to his forest. Though he does specifically, and we'll get to this, Amiria. He does specifically want to have a conversation with you, Amiria. And
Cool.
Dragon talk.
so all of you,
Well, Eisen has one other specific thing he kind of wants to do.
yeah. So it's like in terms of like those like kind of like basic overarching time goals, you guys are able to complete whatever you're angling for there. Karma. Before we move on to specific things with you, Karma, did you have any specific goals you were trying to accomplish?
Besides, she wanted to help rebuild, which I already made clear. She feels bad because I have such. I think very frequently about heckin', what was it, Age of Ultron or the aftermath of Age of Ultron, how the Avengers got their comeuppance for like literally they in their effort to save people they literally killed people. So I think a lot about that, and also because superhero movies give me like anxiety because all I can think about is property damage. Like, oh my god, it's gonna cost so much money to fix that building. Only in superhero movies, though. I don't. Otherwise, in human life, I don't give a shit about your property damage. I only think about it in superhero movies. What did I write down? I was starting to take. I was trying to take notes on my phone, and what I have so far is helping rebuild Neverwinter and spend time with Eisen and Amiria. Because that's gonna be literally because otherwise we'd avoid each other.
Jesus.
We'd avoid each other for 6 months.
Well, obviously, we're all going back to the same place.
I
we're seeing
know,
each other
but,
every
like,
day,
we don't
We
have-
do live together.
Yeah, you guys also like you have
Yeah.
dinner each night and breakfast each morning, sort of
True.
thing. So it's like you guys are
Okay.
naturally spending time together. It's more like if you want to have like I'll come out and say if you want to have like the talk that you guys are probably definitely avoiding at this point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can, have that talk. You probably should have that talk
I don't know what you're talking
as
about. Kara's
Amiria.
never heard of talking.
And as Amiria and I sit in like the attic, like the disappointed parents that we are.
I've never heard of talking. What is language?
Um,
Karma did want to read, try to look into that book that.
which one?
The one that Titties McGee is so interested in.
Which?
Mikhail.
Mikhail?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like again, Titties McGee is like 4 people, so
Fair.
it's just like you got to be. You mean the book from the Order of the Rose?
Yes. I assume we have it.
Tony has it.
Tony has it. Tony,
you can
buddy.
you can absolutely go and talk to him and try to read it if you would like.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay. And then real quick, Eisen, you
'Cause I
what
wanna
what
get
was
an
yours?
idea of why Mikhail wants this book so bad enough to murder an entire town. I can't do accents.
Eisen, what was the specific thing you wanted to do?
I don't know if like we're specifically like there, like if I have enough of what I've been doing yet, but kind of like what I was talking about, like with the main overarching thing is I think he wants to like leave something in like behind, and I think he sees like the kids as an opportunity to like create something.
Like, what would you like want to create? Like an organization?
Yeah.
Like a
Almost like an order almost. I don't know if like I have that much influence yet, or if I can even start that, or if I'm just like, hey, even just instilling like something maybe he's learned in somebody else, and being like, this is something you should all, or if they even look up to him enough to even want to do something like that. I don't know. We didn't really get into that. Like, I don't know what they
I'll
really
say-
think or what happened or what their mindset on anything is, other than the fact they're following me around doing shit.
Daddy.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll say we'll. Actually no. I've got some ideas for that.
Okay.
So we'll hop to that next.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
first things first, Karma. Actually, I guess this would be a question. Does anyone else want to try to take a crack at the book along with Karma?
If I'm assuming I'd be spending at least a decent amount of time with Karma, and I feel like this is something she would probably mention to me.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's,
definitely.
And since I
'Cause,
do,
she can't
and
fucking shut her mouth.
I am a cleric. I do have the ability to guide. I think that's something I would try to help her with.
Okay. Absolutely, you can.
Also, seeing my dumbass, even though I have a low intelligence, is always sitting in libraries reading.
Reading without Karma, who has the high intelligence.
You're trying your best.
Karma goes and tries to talk to people without Aizen, and Aizen tries to go do
I try to do book things without
He
Karma.
tries to read without Karma.
Again, the first moment of true attraction was seeing the Pepe Sylvia board and realizing, oh my god, he can read.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The first moment of attraction was obviously way back when he just fucking insulted her on her ability to fucking aim. In episode 1, where he just mocked the shit out of her for being like, haha, she can't hit for shit. But that, not to quote, but...
Yeah.
But I was re-listening
I
to old episodes because I thought it was just hilarious because I remember thinking like, haha, I remember thinking way back in the day, it was like, how funny would it be if like down the line, Alex and I were like, oh my God, what if this actually was like, what if they had chemistry? What if this were, whatever. I remember thinking that being like the most wild thing.
It's definitely not planned.
Yeah.
At all.
I remember that being the most wild thing because I was like, oh my God, nah, this is like, we're recording episode 2 right now and they fucking hate each other's guts. And so I was like, after the last few weeks, I was like, okay, I have to re-listen. But yeah, Aizen is ruthless. I mean, Karma gives it back just as hard, but hot damn.
Yeah, this is why we get concerned when people like early show Aizen, because it's like, man, do you need help? Like, are you okay?
Do you need help? Do you need me to call somebody? Nah, Aizen's been my baby since day 1.
Amiria, would you like to join them in attempting to read the book, or are you chilling?
Come read a book.
No, I can't read.
True.
So-
Minus
I'm
one,
also stupid, so
-1
I'm
intelligence.
Jared, I'm 19. I never learned how to fucking read.
Also, think about what you guys would want to do with those star sapphires as well.
Okay.
There are some upgrades.
Noted.
There are upgrades you can make with those, and we want to get that taken care of.
Has ideas.
Me too.
All right. So, Amiria and Aizen, you make your way into Tony's Tower of
You mean
Fun.
Karma and Aizen?
I'm sorry, yeah, Karma and Aizen. Make your way into Tony's Tower of Fun, and he greets you warmly. And as soon as you guys mention the book, he's just like, oh boy. All right, come on.
Wow, that was easy. Didn't even have to roll persuasion.
Y'all saved the city. And since this thing is obviously important, if we can divine anything out of it, then that would be equally as important. So he snaps his fingers, a door appears, and it opens into a similar looking chamber to what you guys saw at the Order of the Rose. Like, again, the stone plinth in the center, the torches in the circular chamber. You see all of the artifacts that you guys do control sitting in their little resting places along the circular wall. Aizen, because you had brought this up earlier, the Philosopher's Stone, it's still constructed in the same way that you have it, or that you had made it. So like that gem is sitting now, like kind of like the two have like almost fused together in a strange way, and it's still it's softly pulsing. So there's still some sort of power there, but it's still softly pulsing, like that sort of like rainbowy sort of color spectrum that you had kind of felt run through you. It appears dormant, but there's still some power in there, so you're not 100% certain how usable it is, if there's a recharge time, anything like that, but there's still something going on there. And Karma, Tony like kind of lays his hands out in front of you. It's like, have at it. Good luck. What would you like to try to divine from the book?
What do we know about the book thus far again?
So with the book, you are aware that it contains in some way the lost history of what happened to the world. This book contains all that knowledge, what did happen, what has happened. And as you like open the book to like some of the later pages, you see a very flowery account of the entire Battle of Neverwinter, basically. So it continues to fill itself with the things that are happening in the world.
Does it look like the flowery account? Does it look like it's written from anyone's perspective?
No, it looks like it looks like it's written like a story would be like
Okay.
in ancient times, 3 heroes emerge sort of thing.
How far back can I read before it becomes fuzzy?
Again, it's the same as last time. You can read up until you sort of entered the story. Roll, because this is the first time you've looked at it since since Cherrywood. So roll me an intelligence check, please.
Intelligence check?
Yep.
Okay. I have pretty solid intelligence, as the kids would say. That is a 9 plus 5, 14.
14. You flip through a couple of pages and you see a bunch of gibberish at one point, and then you stop at one point and then you realize, like, at a previous point in the book where you know you couldn't read, and there's, like, even paragraphs around it that you still can't understand. But in, like, the center of a page, you see a paragraph describing the tragedy of Cherrywood and, like, the story that you guys learned and what happened. So with that intelligence check, you kind of, like, suss out or think about it, and you think, okay, as we discover things, we can read them and interpret them and understand them. And then, like, when you flip to the front of the book, or, like, closer to the front of the book, like, prior to the Neverwinter section, you see your guys' story in Cherrywood told as well. But this time it's now told kind of in a similar sense of, like, an unreliable narrator. Like, it's like, they did this. Oh, wait, I totally forgot. No, it wasn't that. It was this. Oh, no. So even the book itself still seems to be attempting to obscure itself even as it reveals itself.
Karma vocalizes this to to Tony and Eisen.
Tony looks at you. It's like, that's so strange.
Does this mean that it's being written by some force that's watching, or is the book itself sentient?
The book definitely isn't sentient. We would be able to tell. You have the ability to... Anyone with the ability to talk to something telekinetically, we'd be able to talk to this thing.
I'm telekinetic, not telepathic.
I'm sorry, telepathic. Anyone with some sort of telepathic ability would be able to talk to this thing, and it wouldn't be hard to whip up a spell.
I didn't take that feat.
So it's obvious the book is not sentient, but it's touched by celestial energy. It recognizes and knows what is happening around it in the world, even in parts of the world that we aren't aware of.
But the way it talks, it says stuff like, oh, no, wait, no, this is what happened, which makes it feel like there's something else writing it or something else watching, almost like it's sentient in its own. If it's not the book, then someone else is writing it. If it is the book, then the book is sentient in its own way because it's correcting itself almost as if it's speaking verbally instead of erasing what it wrote and rewriting it to make sure all the facts are in place.
And again, I'm not saying something isn't writing in this book. I'm saying that whatever is doing it, it's of some sort of celestial nature, and that's difficult because the gods are locked behind the gate. We know that. They can't interact with us outside of through the artifacts or through, and he looks at you, Eisen, like what power they lend people in this world. So the ability to watch and then write and then, more importantly, obscure history is a big thing. And I just don't understand what this is. If it'd be easier if this was a sentient book, because then we could talk to the book and ask it a damn question. But
if the book isn't connected or isn't sentient in itself, there is a possibility somebody's writing in the book and is somehow omnipotent and can see everything and knows everything. Or the book is somehow connected to those it writes about.
That could also be the case.
So the book isn't sentient in itself, but it writes based on what it sees of those it's connected to.
That does make sense.
But that wouldn't change. But wouldn't change how it's written? Because when I read it, it says things like, "Oh no, wait, this is what happened." It reads like to quote the DM, like an unreliable narrator.
Well, that's just so you're just to be 100% clear, Hannah. That's only the Cherrywood section, the
Oh.
point where you were traveling through time technically. So like you had your first loop, but then you went back and you changed things in the second loop, and then
right.
you
So
changed
it
things.
changed.
That's
So
where
it had to keep rewriting.
So
what
it would get
happened.
to a point, and then it would have to stop because it realized we went
if
back.
anyone has played Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, and I'm dating myself here. Hi everyone, I'm 30. This is
Chip
basically
Mulaney, I'm your father.
This is basically the way that they did like the save system and like deaths. So like if you died in Prince of Persia, the narrator who was the prince would say like, "Oh no, that's not how it happened. It happened like this," and then you'd respawn.
Oh.
So
okay.
that's
Okay.
basically the idea behind it, where it's like you guys
Okay.
did all those things in that loop, but that loop technically doesn't exist because you rewrote it with
Okay.
other actions, and then the next loop still exists but doesn't exist.
Okay.
It happened, but isn't kind of like in our. If we want to even go to Loki, if we want to quote Loki, let's say our timeline is the sacred timeline, and each one of those blips was like us on a separate
It's-
timeline because the
it's-
instant we went
yeah, it's
back, that
different
became like a
timelines.
divergent timeline
Yeah,
that
it's-
no longer exists because it's not part of the
Yeah.
true timeline, which is what we're writing. Is the new one we were writing the instant we went back in time?
It's the alternate
change it,
it's the alternate reality that could have been if you followed that particular line of thought.
Yes.
But you guys changed it up several times, so eventually
Sorry if that was spoilers for anybody. If you haven't watched it by the time you get to this episode, I'm sorry.
that would frankly be impressive for certain people. But so like that's the only portion, Karma, where it's being written in that sort of state. Everything else is just written like you would read like a fairy tale or a bedtime story.
Okay.
And I will say this, and then you see, and then I guess the biggest thing that stands out to you, because you're focused on the narrative structure at this point, and this would pop out to you, is that you as you get to the portion where it talks about Eisen and his sacrifice, there's a beautiful, well-written, incredible paragraph. It's like a legendary hero's obituary, like the stories that each and every one of you have heard about ancient heroes and tales of heroism, and like, those like soft, flowery epilogues as these heroes like ride off into the sunset or, complete whatever they had to complete. That's written for Eisen. And then you watch as the final line is like, in this book, like in this perfect book that has no flaws whatsoever, very hastily, almost angrily scribbled out in ink, like the last couple lines of it, in that Eisen died, and then a new paragraph starts with, and some things were not meant to be, as life returned to Eisen's lungs, and then it continues from there.
Karma wants to know who's writing the book. Karma wants to try to think back on what she's read in the history of the gods as told by mortals.
Okay.
And try to remember who, and try to think or theorize what force or what celestial or what being or what could be writing the book.
Okay. Religion check, please.
Karma's seen the future.
Okay.
She rolled a natural 20.
Okay.
And Eisen, since 20s technically are just a 20, and it's not exactly.
Wait, what's
Eisen's
the and
going
what's
to
the
guide it.
what was the kind of what kind of check was it?
Religion.
It would have been a +5.
So that's a 25.
+2.
27.
27. Okay. A natural 20 is what you needed.
Yeah.
You needed to roll as best.
I'd rolled a 19, a 20, and a 4.
You needed to
That's
roll.
what I had written down for portents on the days on the day that we start rolling.
So yeah, that was you.
Hell fucking yeah, I knew that was going to come in handy. It was my Vax dice too. It did the knives. I got my Vax dice that does knives for the 20.
You got exactly what you needed. So you
Where's my knife?
think and you think and you think and you think, and then you remember, and it finally clicks with you, and you are almost angry at yourself that it took this long to think and figure out, given how long you guys spent in that godforsaken town.
Thank you, Liam O'Brien.
But you finally remember, it's like, wait a minute. The scribe of the gods, the history keeper, the History Keeper and Mapmaker is the same person who controls and monitors the flow of time. If there was someone who would be writing this book, it would be Kronos. Because their job as a Celestial is to both pay attention to history and mark it down. And like that it's like the last puzzle piece finally slotting into your brain,
The
karma.
voice.
And that finally clicks in place of like, oh, this could be Kronos. Or like if there was a celestial origin to it, it would start there.
Karma thinks back to the Kingdom of Embers after they had changed the future and they'd saved Jackson, or quote unquote saved Jackson, and the voice that had come to her head about the future being changed and that there would be consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like says aloud, "Was that him?"
Was
What?
who? What?
Kronos.
What about Grandpa Time?
This book is his. This is his book. He's the one. That voice. Tony, do you remember?
Yeah,
Jackson. I don't know if you were angry. You were so angry, and it's fine. You were so angry about Jackson's Azamar being gone. I don't know if I ever got to tell you about the voice. Did I ever? The voice that said there'd be consequences for us changing the future because Jackson was supposed to die. I don't know if you remember, but I had seen the future back then. I'd seen it, and Jackson wasn't with us in that future. In that future, it was me, Belladonna, Imelda, and Eisen, and Imelda was hurt. And we were walking through fire, and there was something following us. And that was the future I saw, but we stopped that future from happening. It never happened. And there was that voice that told me there would be consequences for changing the future.
Karma, roll a intelligence check.
I've seen the future,
Okay.
and I rolled a
Jesus
19.
Christ.
I rolled a 19.
All right, so that's a 24.
I only have one portent left because now I have 3 portents, bitches, but I can't use that last one because it's a low one.
You think to yourself, you're thinking like you're trying so hard, and it's like, and you like think to yourself, it's like the voice did, like having met with Kronos now, the voice did sound familiar. You do believe it's them. That probably spoke to you during that time, warning you of consequences.
It was him. Them. It was them. It was.
Right. Okay.
And Karma's clearly going through something because, again, in her upbringing, Kronos might as well have been God. They might as well have been monotheistic on guidance because time and fate and destiny and all that was law. There was no change in the future. Like the entire island was run by the 5 families, this oligarchy of 5 divination families. Kronos might as well have been God, the single God.
And okay, I totally get that.
So
and
Karma is clearly like almost like I'm going up against God himself,
Mhm.
but or rather in this case, God themselves or deity themselves. I don't know.
I hear you on that one, Karma, and that makes sense. But Kronos isn't vindictive or Kronos doesn't get angry because Kronos doesn't care about. Kronos' job is to care for the flow of time and make sure things happen when they're supposed to happen. But even when there's adjustments, so the stories say, that anger isn't a part of their repertoire. So if it is them and they are angry at the change in time, that's significant. And Tony thinks to himself for a second. He flips through the book, and he gets back to the point in the Kingdom of Embers. And he's like, I can't read this, and he hands it to one of you. Which one of you would like to take it?
Karma passes it off to Aizen because she's in a moment, so she just like immediately.
All right,
just
so I'm looking at
hands
it.
off to Aizen.
Aizen, you read the entry about your guys' travels, and one thing you notice and you pick up on is as Michaela's introduced, you see he's referred to by name, but then is given a title. He's given the title the Banished One, and that title is sprinkled sporadically through there. Again, it's very, very flowery, and then you get to the moment where, and again, it's that same sort of thing that happened with you, where there's again that flowery obituary, the tales and summation of deeds. And you can't read any of those. You can just kind of tell, and then as Jackson took forth his power, and then it kind of descends into gibberish. And then you get to the end, and then it's blank for like half the page is full, and then the page is blank. You turn the page, it's another blank page. And then on the third page, after turning, you see written there, and thus sorry, excuse me. And on that page you see written, and thus the chains were broken, and time was remade. Our story begins anew. And then all of the rest of your deeds are written throughout.
Aizen's brain is breaking.
That's fair. That's very fair.
What's new?
Aizen's sick of the whole. Aizen's a simple,
I am a simple
man.
Simple idiot sorcerer.
Of not wanting to have to deal with a puzzle every 5 seconds.
These are
And
the
that's
gods.
and that's what he fucking feels like every time.
I don't know if this is how Aizen feels or how Alex feels, and Alex just is tired of the puzzles.
No, I love this shit. But
Alex adores it.
Aizen's just like,
I'm a simple idiot
I
sorcerer.
have no idea. Like, what the fuck?
I'm a simple sorcerer. My casting stat is charisma. I'm not intelligent.
Yeah. So he's just like, he's just like, this seems, no offense, this seems pointless. Whatever he wants with this, it doesn't. This is beyond me. I'm done with the gods and the riddles and whatever I have to do with it.
Aren't you like part cleric?
I think that's why this is much more annoying.
Which one of you, real quick, just because this matters, which one of you still has the watch?
Karma.
Kronos' watch.
Karma
Karma.
did not let anyone fucking take that. I have that in my notes that Karma pocketed that shit. That's fucking
Alright.
Karma's. Karma's not letting anyone take that shit.
So
I was literally about to ask about that. I literally have that also in my notes, like literally post this. I was going to say, okay, so Karma.
So Karma has the watch, but before anything, Amiria, you're
The sword.
out and about doing whatever it is you might want to be doing. Do you have do you keep the hour hand of Kronos on you at all times, or would there be times you wouldn't have it?
As long as it's not a situation where it would be weird to be armed, then it's probably with her, yeah.
Okay. The only time you would probably go unarmed to something would be like a formal, some sort of formal occasion. So I'll assume you have it on you often enough that this is a thing. Amira, you feel like as they're in here reading this book, you feel the sword start to vibrate in its scabbard next to you. And like you pull it, and you pull it out, and you watch as, because whenever you use this, those energies roll over it. So there's the golden light of healing, and then the darkness of reversal. And you're watching as like the blade is like just running through all of its energies over and over and over again, and like you know that you didn't do anything with it. And you like it does this for a little while, then stops, calms down, you put it back in your sheath, you go walking a little bit, further, you're wherever you might be. Then you stop and you're assailed by a flashing vision of, again, because you saw Kronos, the clockwork body of brass and gold and silver. You hear the endless ticking of clocks and the chiming of bells and things. And in your mind, you hear once more.
Core memory unlocked. Stage 4.
And your vision flashes forward and you're back wherever you were at the moment you felt all this.
Cool, great.
Karma, you feel Kronos's watch like start to like get warm. Either in your pocket, in your bag, wherever it is, and like you pull it out and it's like it's warm, and you can feel like a pulsing vibration coming from the watch. And underneath, like before you even open it, you can see like light sort of bleeding out from the closed face of the pocket watch. What would you like to do?
She opens up the pocket watch immediately. No thoughts, no considerations, no nothing. She opens it.
All right, you pop the pocket watch open, and you watch as this gold light bleeds into the entire central chamber of the artifacts. And you watch as the book flies open and the pages flip back, forth, center, and this light is so bright and so blinding that all of you guys close your eyes and you shield yourself from it, and then you hear like this rushing sound of wind momentarily, and then you watch, and then like the light fades, the watch dulls, it's no longer like hot or heated to the touch. You see one more crack appear. This time, instead of it, there's now a crack on the first 4 numbers of the face of the watch. And you guys watch as the book is closed, and it has a soft little glow about it that it's slowly fading as the title, as like kind of like the cover of the book is visible. What would you guys like to do?
Are we still in Tony's hut?
Nothing's changed. You just had this bright light and this rushing sound of wind. And the book that was opened is now closed and is softly glowing.
Eisen looks at Karma with like a questioning, like, Karma? What's happening?
I think Kronos wants us to open it. I opened the watch, and when the watch is used to call on Kronos for a favor or a boon, at least that's what I figured out when I was studying it. If there's a crack in it, that means he's given us an answer or given us a favor or a boon. And if the book is glowing, then
Eisen opens the book.
Well, actually, the book itself is not glowing. Very specifically, the cover is glowing. I apologize. I didn't.
Is there something on the cover that looks? I don't know. Like, does the watch look like it might? Like, is there anything missing on the cover? Is it just a flat book? Is there anything?
The title of the book has changed.
what was it before?
I believe what it was the history of the world as recorded. That was the title. And there was bits and pieces of it you couldn't read. There was like runes and things upon it. What you now see is everything on the cover has been translated, and the title is now entirely different. The runes, Karma, you can tell are ancient divination runes, ancient magic, celestial magic. But the most striking thing is the title has changed to, and then they died. How the gods fell. And Tony takes a look at the cover of the book, and it's like, it's glowing. The fuck has changed? He like flips through some of the pages, closes it. What happened?
I don't fucking know. Looks at Karma.
No, I'm saying like nothing's happened to the book. It's like the cover's glowing certainly, but it's like,
Oh, he doesn't see it.
he can't read it. He doesn't notice the change.
Karma opens the book and tries to read the first page.
There's nothing on the first page.
Nothing?
Well, no. There's nothing. I'm sorry. You cannot read the first page. It's the same gibberish. It appears the cover was revealed to you.
Gods are dead? I thought they were locked away.
Tony looks at you. He's like, dead? What the fuck are you talking? How are the gods dead? They still lend power. They're gone, certainly. Like, they're behind the gate.
They're going to, though.
How?
They're going to die. They're going to... Look, the cover.
The cover's the cover. It's the history of the world is...
You don't see the cover change?
What cover change are you talking about?
Covers.
Tony, the cover changed. The cover's different. Do you not? She holds up the book. And
No, it looks the same to me. What does it say?
what does it say?
Guys.
Like how they felt. It was how they felt. I wanted
like-
to word it perfectly. I need to change. I need to put it in my notes.
Okay, it's and then the gods died.
And then the gods died.
How the story of how they fell. I'm gonna double check with our master note taker, Amiria. Did I change it in between like the 10 seconds it took?
Slightly. It was, and then they died, the story of how the gods fell.
Okay, yeah, no, that one's the better one.
then
They died. The story of how the gods fell.
Story of how the gods
I don't need to write anything down. I have you people for that.
fell. Sorry, I was like.
You have me specifically
I
because
was
no one else
I
I
would.
was so
appreciate you so goddamn
so
much.
transfixed.
Yeah, like it was. I
Karma.
remembered like the substance of it, but not
Yes.
the exact wording.
Yeah.
Karma. And then they died. The story of how the gods fell. Do you not see it?
I don't see. He's like looking at you, like honestly, like a little scared. It's like, Karma, I don't see anything. The title is the same as it was 5 fucking minutes ago.
Then we see something that you can't.
That's also concerning. Tony starts pacing the room. It's like, okay, we pulled out the watch, and something happened with the watch, and something happened with the book. So we're going to logic this out the best we possibly fucking can. So the book is obviously related to Kronos. You guys are now aware of something that I am not. That's concerning because I am one of the few divine things left on this fucking planet. So that's also not good. And finally, something about this book has changed. It means it's active. That means we already knew what we were doing was affecting the story as it's told now, but apparently we are also affecting the story as it was, or revealing something about the story that happened that somehow you or we or us were involved in. That's also, he's just pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing. I don't know what this means. have any of you had any experiences with anything related to this recently that we can think of?
All I know is there's been some weird shit said about me, Karma, Belladonna. Honestly, I don't know if it... I don't know if it was said about Emiria.
Like all of you have been kind of
Okay.
getting this treatment. Everyone has.
Okay, so she's in the book too?
Yes.
Okay. There's something... And this title change is kind of weirdly solidifying something I've been pondering for a while. Mikhail said it. Inadvertently, I feel like I've been called a god multiple times, and it's confusing and weird. And the fact that the title, this book apparently has been writing our story. And now is the title basically referring to the contents of this book as the gods, and I am in this book.
Unless
I don't know. The things we can't see, the things we can't read, the things we can read that other people can't read, that only seem to deal with celestials, the fact that the whole gate thing, the promise made, there's so many things that don't make sense that we are smack dab in the middle of. And nobody wants to give us a clear answer, and I am sick of it.
Karma takes his hand, by the way, and as he's getting all like worked up, she like kind of holds his hand.
I don't know if we're gods. I don't know if we're the pawns of gods. I don't know if we're some sort of weird avatar of the gods or something that speaks, but something is connecting us to them. And it seems very clear now that that is somehow the case. I don't know to what extent.
Or, if you notice, we're not in the beginning.
We can't see that yet.
We can't, but what if we're not gods? What if we're the god killers?
Why are they helping us?
Maybe they don't know. Tony can't read it. Kronos is bound by time. Kronos can't do anything. They're bound. They can't. If I learned anything growing up, Kronos wouldn't even lift a finger to stop their own death, because they're bound by time. If Kronos is the one writing this, Kronos wouldn't care. Or they would, but they wouldn't do anything to stop their own death. What if the other gods? What if the ones that Tony's descended from, what if they don't know? What if Kronos is the only one that knows?
What does this have to do with Mikhail? Why does he need the book?
What if he wants to stop us from killing the gods?
If that man wants to stop the gods from dying, then maybe the gods dying is a good thing. 'Cause that man, whatever he is not looking out for the best for this world. So if that's the case,
Certainly not for mortals.
then I don't know.
Tony is continuing his pacing back and forth, and he like looks at you guys, and it's like it goes against every fiber of my being, every instinct I have, because the Celestial are my creators, directly my creators. But Eisen's not wrong. If Mikhail wants this book, and the book is titled What You Say It Is, he wants something to do with the death of the gods. Whether to stop it or harness its power, I don't know which, but Eisen's right. Anything we can do to stop that psychopath is the right thing. We just don't know what the fuck that is yet.
We need more information.
I want to spend my vacation at the library. That was a
The
very
rest of the vacation.
that was a very lowbrow Avatar: The Last Airbender reference, and anyone who got it with
Oh
before me
shit! I was trying to place it, and I was like, I know what I do.
Karma is Sokka-kin. That's like the fact of life.
So
Big dumbass and yet so smart.
When will you realize that your words have consequences?
Yeah, you're now about to. Someone's gonna draw
Big
Karma
friendly giant mushroom.
as Sokka.
I'm not mad at that. Are you kidding me? That's the greatest thing I've ever thought of. Oh my god! You know what that means?
Kyoshi warrior.
That makes
fucking
Aizen
Karma.
Suki. Or in my fantasy world, tough.
Either.
Okay, we can't get into
No,
this.
we're not opening this can of
Eventually she-
fucking
No,
worms.
this isn't happening.
This is not happening right now.
I reject.
Taka
I
is
reject.
best. I'm sorry.
No.
Suika.
Okay, we are in a D&D podcast. I will not talk about Avatar shipping right now.
Absolutely not.
Suki
The
and-
show's
listen.
show's been
Zach,
over. for
take
10
the
years.
fucking wheel.
la,
La 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 la.
Suki, top.
I will fucking strangle you
No,
if
I
you
turned her
keep
mic.
talking.
I turned her mic
I'm
off.
gagging her.
I legit turned her
God
mic. I
bless.
turned her mic down all the way.
Wink. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, no, your mic is off. Your mic is off. Are you gonna behave? All right, there you go. You can speak again. We are not getting into Avatar shipping
No.
wars in our D&D
Okay.
podcast.
Okay, let's keep going.
So,
Onward.
as you guys kind of like have this as you guys kind of have this moment and the sun starts to set on another day, in the back of all three of your minds, like you feel it for just a moment. It's a shiver running up your spine, but you swear for a moment each of you hear in your minds. And it passes. That is where we will end our episode for today. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Dances with Dice. Please follow us on all of our social media channels at Dances with Dice, and when you use the hashtag DWDcast or DWDart, we will use you as named NPCs in the show. Again, thank you all so much for joining us, and join us every single Tuesday for new episodes of Dances with Dice.